Hello students and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I am broadcasting to you from Central Europe. Hope everybody is having a great day. Hi Amandeep, hi Tina, hi Kyber. Good to see students joining in. All right, today we are looking at some IELTS reading for Band 9. Materials come from our websites, aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for the general version of the exam. Good to see so many students in. All right, everybody, let's just kick it off with some reading fluency practice. I'm going to play some audio for you, show you today's reading, and all we're going to do is just read together, get our English minds warmed up, and work on just some reading, and then we will look at the questions, some strategies, and go through it together. So I'm going to hop over to our academic IELTS website. That's this one here with the blue background. And I'll darken the screen a little bit for us so it's a clearer read. All right. And just logging into my student account up here. And once I'm logged into my student account, I'm going to hop over to the audio tracks. This is coming from our exam number 5, reading passage number 1. So that should be CD 5, track 5. All right, everybody. Hope you're ready for this.
Earthquake preparedness.
Oh, just a moment. Wrong
Of all
track.
natural disasters, earthquakes are likely to be the most.
Let's try that one.
Why do tortoises live so long?
There it is.
Tortoises are some of the longest lived creatures in nature. They can live so long.
Okay,
that
just give me
scientists
1
have
second,
yet to
students.
document the
I know you
lifespan
can't
of
hear
these
it yet,
hard-shelled
so don't
reptiles.
worry about it. Okay, students, so I'm going to play the audio. So your goal here is just to read, okay? Just read with the audio. Don't worry about questions. Focus on understanding. So focus on understanding as much of the text as possible. Try to visualize. This is a very visual text, okay? So try to visualize it. It's a very visual text. Here we go. If you're having trouble hearing it, make sure to turn up.
Why do tortoises live so long? Tortoises are some of the longest lived creatures in nature. They can live so long that scientists have yet to fully document the lifespan of these hard-shelled reptiles. Reports, however, indicate that certain species of tortoise can live up to 200 years, far longer than the average human lifespan. The reasons tortoises live so long are evolutionary and biological, though the population of these ancient creatures is declining due to low reproduction rates and increased predation. Nature is incredibly diverse, but the common factor among creatures is the need to reproduce. Some creatures, such as humans, have small numbers of young which are cared for diligently. Others, such as salmon, have no interaction with their offspring whatsoever. Instead, salmon rely on the sheer number of eggs they lay. They lay so many eggs that some are bound to survive to adulthood. While some animals rely on care or vast numbers of eggs, the tortoise relies on the longevity of their life. Female tortoises can produce offspring for well over a century. This is one reason tortoises live so long, so they can reproduce many times and thus continue the species. Reproduction, however, is not a cause of tortoises' longevity. The most fundamental cause of their longevity is their incredibly slow metabolism. A creature's metabolism is the rate at which they process food and energy. Some animals, such as the hummingbird, have very fast metabolisms in order to power their high-energy existences. Conversely, tortoises have very slow metabolisms because they have very few energy expenditures. In general, creatures with slow metabolisms live longer than those with faster metabolisms. Due to its low metabolism, the the tortoise can live for up to a year without food or water. When explorers were travelling to the Galapagos Islands in the 18th and 19th centuries, it was common for sailors to take tortoises on board the ship as they left the islands. Since tortoises survived so long without food or water, they were able to provide the sailors with a very long-lasting supply of fresh meat aboard the ship. Metabolism alone, however, does not explain the great age to which the tortoise can live. Critical to the tortoise's longevity is their hard shell, which protects them from predators. Every long-lived creature in nature has a mechanism for protection. Some animals have speed to effect a quick escape from predation. Some use intelligence to outwit predators. Some use poison against predators. And some have physical protection, like the tortoise. In addition to its hard outer shell, the tortoise is also a large animal, and in general, larger animals tend to live longer than smaller animals. A final cause of tortoises' longevity is their island habitat. Animals which live on islands tend to live longer because they are kept separate from many of the most dangerous predators. Instead of developing energy-inefficient methods of keeping safe from predators, and thus requiring an increased metabolism, tortoises are free to allocate their energy to extending their lifespan and maintaining a very low metabolism. Though tortoises have developed an extraordinary ability to live a long life, today this ability is threatened by a number of factors. First, and perhaps most significant, is predation by humans. In the past, tortoises and humans did not commonly coexist, but today tortoises are killed by poachers who value the tortoise's shell. Second, the contamination of tortoise habitats has put tortoise young at risk. For the first 5 years of a tortoise's life, they are prone to predators such as rats. Originally, such predators did not share the tortoise's island's habitat, but through the introduction of rats and other species to the habitat, it has put the tortoise at risk. Finally, the tortoise's slow metabolism means that they are very slow and virtually incapable of adapting to these new pressures. If tortoise populations are not looked after, they will almost certainly become extinct.
All right, so that is a read-along with a native British speaker about tortoises. And just a quick question here, students. What is a tortoise? Can anybody tell me what a tortoise actually is? So we just read about it. What did we read about? That was not me speaking. That was me playing the audio, as I mentioned. Yeah, it was about a tortoise. A turtle is different. Turtles live in the ocean. Tortoises live on land. Okay? So the tortoise lives on land. Turtles live in water for the most part. Keep that important difference in mind. That's the big difference between a tortoise and a turtle. Okay? Notice that this is spelled tortoise. Tortoises for plural, tortoise for singular. Tortoise is this one that lives on land, okay? Turtle is one that lives in water. It is a cold-blooded animal. And we were reading, of course, about why they live so long. Okay? Why they live so long. Why does a tortoise live so long? What's the main reason that a tortoise lives so long? Farhan, yes, a tortoise is a giant animal with a shell. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Jatin Chana, really good answer. So Jatin says they have a low metabolism. Yeah, Anatoly agrees that it's their metabolism that allows them to live so long. Kyber, it's not because they lay so many eggs, but it's because they have a low metabolism. What is metabolism? What does the word metabolism mean? Here's a little bit of learning vocabulary from IELTS reading. When you see new vocabulary, you should do this. You should first write out the definition. So metabolism. What does that actually mean, metabolism? That's right, Kirti. Kirti says it's converting food into energy. Jatin says metabolism means energy that is consumed by our body to produce energy for our body. Yeah, so it's our digestion, it's our oxygen. So consuming our outside world. Food, oxygen, water to create energy for the body. All right, that is your metabolism. Absolutely. It's a noun, of course. And can you write an example sentence with the word metabolism? So let's make sure that if this is a new word for us, then we can remember it for the future. That could very easily be an academic IELTS reading, especially that deals with metabolism and metabolic rate. So it's good to know this word. Can everybody write an example sentence using the word metabolism? Mariko says, I boost my metabolism. Okay, Mariko, that's a very simple sentence. All right, but it's good, Mariko, that you included yourself. It's a good trick to remember the word longer, so including I is a good idea. I am always looking for ways to boost my metabolism, meaning you have more energy. Farhan, remembering yesterday's lesson, says fruits and vegetables are vital to maintain our body's metabolism. Farhan, you need that apostrophe S to show possession or to show belonging. Jatin says tortoises have a low metabolism that helps them live longer. Jatin, good, so you're connecting it right away to what you're reading. Fantastic. When you're writing example sentences, students, there are three important elements to include into your example. One, include yourself. Two, make it interesting. Three, make it complex. That way, you'll not just remember the words that you're reading and learning, but you will be able to use them longer. Watch what I do. I'm always looking for ways to boost my metabolism because eventually, I want to produce enough metabolic energy to fly like Superman. There we go. Da, 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 and away I go. Wow, Superman must eat a lot of food to be able to fly. No, he doesn't. He uses the energy of the sun, for those of you who are Superman fans. All right. So that's my example sentence. I am always looking for ways to boost my metabolism because eventually I want to produce enough metabolic energy to fly like Superman. So notice a couple of really cool steps that I took here. One is I actually repeated the word in a different word form. Metabolism, metabolic, energy. So using the adjective form. I made it personal. I made it interesting. This will really help me to remember the word, have fun with the word, and be able to use the word. Kestra, you're not a big fan of Superman? Hey, that's great. You know why? Because you don't have to make a sentence that you like. You can make a sentence that you hate. So if you don't like Superman, you can write a sentence like, I'm not going to absorb the energy of the sun because I don't want a high metabolism like Superman. The important part is it should be unique, Kesra, so that you remember it, okay? So that you remember it for a long time. All right, so that is a complex sentence. So you should do that with your IELTS reading passages when you come across new words, okay? Keep that in mind. All right, let's get back to target here, our reading, right? Don't get lost. Don't get lost, students. Don't go off track. Keep yourself focused. It's another really important part of effective study. So why do tortoises live so long is the passage title. Let's take a look at the questions. Here's our first one, our first set of questions, 1 to 5. Reading passage 1 has 6 paragraphs, A to F. Which paragraph contains the following information? Write the correct letter A to F in boxes 1 to 5 on your answer sheet. Note by the way, NB, note by the way, you may use any letter more than once. Should I read this question? Is it a good idea to read and review this question before I read the passage in the real official exam? Is that a good idea? So should I read this? Should I be like, okay, I'm going to read this because it will help me? Farhan says yes. Roshni agrees. Amrit agrees. Preeti agrees. Yeah, it's a good idea. Yes, absolutely. All of this information is in the passage somewhere. You might do a skimming, scanning strategy for this one, but eventually you have to read the text anyway. So just read the question first. Factors that lower tortoises' life expectancy. Tortoises being used as a food source. Separation from predators contributes to their long lifespan. Some animals have different methods of ensuring the species lives on. Tortoises have difficulty adapting to new pressures. Okay. I read that. Next one is short answer. Should I read this short answer? Yeah, Amandeep says, yeah, don't skim and scan. It doesn't help. I agree, Amandeep. Skimming and scanning is not the right strategy, especially for the academic IELTS with the long passages and multiple question types. Yeah, I can read this one before the passage because, again, it's all information from the passage. So it's not confusing. It's just a paraphrase. It's clear. So let's read it. The causes of tortoises' long life are biological and something. While salmon lay thousands of eggs at once, tortoises rely on their something to continue the species. Unlike the tortoise, animals such as the something have very high metabolism. So obviously that's going to be some kind of animal. The tortoise's something protects them from attacks, thus lengthening their life. Okay, yeah, we read it. It's good. I agree with you. Read questions that have information which is in the passage. Last 4 questions. True, false, not given. 4 questions. Should I read those 4 questions? True, false, not given. Pachu says nope. I agree, Pachu. We should not read true, false, not given before the passage. There's no need. It doesn't help us. It will just confuse us. There's lots of extra information in there, not given information, so it's pointless to read it. All right, let's go back, read the passage again together. We'll do a little bit of critical reading. Critical reading, students, means stopping after each paragraph and asking what, why, and how. Okay, you definitely want to practice critical reading before you sit the IELTS exam to improve your comprehension. Okay, it's the most powerful way to improve your comprehension. To improve your reading comprehension, you must practice critical reading. Critical, you can also call it analytical if you want. Which means asking what, why, and how after you read a paragraph. Now, we're not going to do all of that because you will be here far too long, but I'll ask you one or the other question after each paragraph, so get ready for that. Okay, we'll have some fun here. Here we go. All right. Welcome, Lena. Welcome, Mustafa. Always good to see new people in the class and in chat. All right, here we go. So let's read together. Paragraph A, it's the introduction. Read with me. Tortoises are some of the longest lived creatures in nature. They can live so long that scientists have yet to fully document the lifespan of these hard-shelled reptiles. Reports, however, indicate that certain species of tortoise can live up to 200 years, far longer than the average human lifespan. The reason tortoises live so long are evolutionary and biological. Though the population of these ancient creatures is declining due to low reproduction rates and increased predation. Okay, what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the tortoise. We know that. It's the introduction. Why? Why are we talking about the tortoise? Why does the author write such information? Why, oh why? Why is this passage discussing the tortoise? What is the answer to that mythical question? All right, I got some answers coming up. Because they live so long. Mariko, that's right. Mariko H says, well, because they live so long and that makes them really interesting. Yeah, I agree. That's the main reason. That is so interesting. How long do they live? Just the how for this one. How long do they live? How long are these turtles alive for? Yeah, 200 plus years, absolutely. Maybe even 280. So 200 plus years, sure. Okay, let's keep going. Follow with me. Nature is incredibly diverse, but the common factor among creatures is the need to reproduce. Some creatures, such as humans, have small numbers of young which are cared for diligently. Others, such as salmon, have no interaction with their offspring whatsoever. Instead, salmon rely on the sheer number of eggs they lay. They lay so many eggs that some are bound to survive to adulthood. While some animals rely on care or vast numbers of eggs, the tortoise relies on the longevity of their life. Female tortoises can produce offspring for well over a century. This is one reason tortoises live so long, so they can reproduce many times and thus continue the species. Why is this paragraph talking about reproduction? Students, here's my question for this paragraph. Let's continue our critical reading. Why is this paragraph discussing reproduction? What's the answer to that question? So we know it's about reproduction. I just told you that, but why? Yes, it's imperative to continue the species, Amrit, but let's not forget about what we're talking about here. We're talking about the tortoise, right? The topic of our reading is tortoise. Okay, so why talk about the tortoise? And why talk about reproduction? So keep the tortoise in mind, okay? This passage is about the tortoise. Yeah, so Sujail Mandal says, because it explains one reason for their advantage of living so long. Yeah, because it is related to the longevity of tortoises. Meaning that they can reproduce for many years to ensure survival. That's right. How many years? How many years can a tortoise reproduce for a bonus question? Just making sure that you're also paying attention to detail when you read. And I know that a lot of you understand this, so it's not about English here. It's not about understanding. It's about paying attention to detail and visualizing. More than 100 years. That's right, Farhan. That's right, Mariko. Yes, a century. Nice paraphrasing, Jatin. Yeah. Absolutely. Excellent. I'm going to hop back here real quick. What does the word diligently mean? What does the word diligently mean? So look at this sentence. Small numbers of young which are cared for diligently. Carefully is part of the definition, Farhan. That's right. It's an adverb. Okay, it means to do carefully and what? Carefully and, yes, with effort, Mariko. That's right, with hard work. Carefully and with effort. Okay, students, write a sentence for me with the word diligently. Write me an example sentence with the word diligently. It's a useful English vocabulary, so you need to learn this. And make sure to make it interesting, complex, include yourself. So write an example sentence with the word diligently. I'm going to do the same. All right, while I'm waiting for your answer, here's mine. I teach IELTS diligently to the world in hopes of one day creating a utopic future where all people are happy, brilliant, and peaceful. Okay, including myself, making it interesting and complex. I see some great examples by some students as well. Let me read some of those out for you. Some good example sentences. Tina says, I'm a diligent IELTS student. Tina, that's a great start. You're going at it from the other side of the coin. Why are you a diligent IELTS student, Tina? Include that piece of information. Make it complex. Make it compound so that you retain the information better. Farhan said, I found the officer performing his job diligently. Farhan, that seems very removed, so you want to bring it close and make it complex so that you can remember it better and use it more efficiently. Okay? Let's see. Mariko says, Japanese people always work diligently because it is inherent in the culture since ancient times. Mariko, that's good. You're not included. Okay? So include yourself. So myself and other Japanese people, and then it's better that way. Mansoor, good to see you in class, my good man. The university student works on his thesis diligently in hopes of achieving his PhD by the age of 12. Mansoor, include yourself. So I worked on my university thesis diligently so I could get my doctorate by the age of 12. That will help you to remember the vocabulary. All right, good job, students. So again, just a quick reminder to do this while you are learning your reading. Here we go. Let's keep going with paragraph C. Fantastic. By the way, good job, students. So keep it up. Keep communicating. Keep pushing forward. Read with me. Read with me. Nice and loud. By the way, try to, always read aloud when you have the chance. It's good to hear yourself read. It's called multisensory integration. I'm Not going to get into too much psychology on that, but it's effective to hear yourself read. So read loud with me. Reproduction, however, is not a cause of tortoises' longevity. The most fundamental cause of their longevity is their incredibly slow metabolism. A creature's metabolism is the rate at which they process food and energy. Some animals, such as the hummingbird, have very fast metabolisms in order to power their high-energy existences. Conversely, tortoises have very slow metabolisms because they have very few energy expenditures. In general, creatures with slow metabolisms live longer than those with faster metabolisms. Due to its low metabolism, the tortoise can live for up to a year without food or water. When explorers were traveling to the Galapagos Islands in the 18th and 19th centuries, it was common for sailors to take tortoises on board the ship as they left the islands. Since the tortoises survived so long without food or water, they were able to provide the sailors with a very long-lasting supply of fresh meat aboard the ship. Fantastic. We are talking about metabolism in this paragraph, right? So how is it shown? This is a how question. How is it shown by the author that tortoises have a very slow metabolism? How is that shown? So how? You're very welcome, Mariko. How is it proven by the author that the tortoise has a very slow metabolism? How is that proven? What does the author do? Yosef Samir says, well, he gives the example of the sailors keeping tortoises on their boats because they could survive so long. Yes, Sujal Mandal, that's right. That's the first point. That's what I was looking for. Sujal Mandal says, author says the tortoise can live without food or water for an entire year. Nice attention to detail. Nice attention to detail. The tortoise can live a year without food or water, and for this reason makes a great travel companion when sailing the ocean and in need of fresh meat. Fantastic. Good job, students. So that's what you want to do. That's how you improve your critical reading skills. Okay. Let's keep going here. D. Read with me. Metabolism alone, however, does not explain the great age to which the tortoise can live. Critical to the tortoise's longevity is their hard shell, which protects them from predators. Every long-lived creature in nature has a mechanism for protection. Some animals have speed to effect a quick escape from predation. Some use intelligence to outwit predators. Some use poison against predators, and some have physical protection like the tortoise. In addition to its hard outer shell, the tortoise is also a large animal. And in general, larger animals tend to live longer than smaller animals. All right. Now, what are we talking about in this paragraph? Generally speaking, what are we talking about? What are we talking about here? Lina Rodriguez Ortega says mechanisms for protection. And Lina, you are absolutely right. So we are talking about mechanisms of defense, or defense mechanisms is the most accurate English for it. So what are we talking about, or what is the author discussing? Different types of defense mechanisms. Okay. By the way, students, always try repeating me. So when I express the correct English, like defense mechanism, then you should repeat defense mechanism. We don't say protection ways, Simran. We say defense mechanisms. Okay, defense mechanisms. That's the correct collocation here. All right, let's keep going. Read with me. A final cause of the tortoise's longevity is their island habitat. Animals which live on islands tend to live longer because they are kept separate from many of the most dangerous predators. Instead of developing energy inefficient methods of keeping safe from predators and thus requiring an increased metabolism, tortoises are free to allocate their energy to extending their lifespan and maintaining a very low metabolism. What are we talking about in this paragraph? What is this paragraph talking about? What is paragraph E about? That's right, Pachu. It's about the habitat. It's about the island habitat. What specifically about the island habitat? So it's about the island habitat of tortoises. Why? What's special about it? What's the word that comes here? So we're talking about the island habitat, the ecosystem where the tortoise lives, right? What's the missing word that finishes my sentence? On these islands, the tortoise is what? It's safe from predators because it is, what's the word that I'm looking for? It starts with an I, continues with an S, third letter is an O. Can anybody? Yeah, that's right, Sujal Mandal. Very good. They are isolated. Isolated means separated from the rest of the world, or especially predators. They're isolated. Good. All right. Last paragraph, which is, of course, the conclusion. Read it with me. Though tortoises have developed an extraordinary ability to live a long life, today this ability is threatened by a number of factors. First, and perhaps most significant, is predation by humans. In the past, tortoises and humans did not commonly coexist, but today tortoises are killed by poachers who value the tortoise's shell. Second, the contamination of tortoise habitats has put tortoise young at risk. For the first 5 years of a tortoise's life, they are prone to predators such as rats. Originally, such predators did not share the tortoise's island habitat, but through the introduction of rats and other species to the habitat, it has put the tortoise at risk. Finally, the tortoise's slow metabolism means that they are very slow and virtually incapable of adapting to these new pressures. If tortoise populations are not looked after, they will almost certainly become extinct. What message is the conclusion emphasizing? What message is the conclusion emphasizing? Kamal Nupain says, that the tortoises are now endangered or are in danger, right? Yes, the tortoise is now becoming an endangered species. Savan, very good. So the conclusion is the threat. The threat for the survival of the tortoise. Okay, fantastic. Students, great job. Good job on the read. Again, this is what kind of practice you should do at home. Notice all these beautiful questions, vocabulary that we picked out. So when you're doing IELTS reading passages at home, don't just rush through them. Don't just try to answer the questions in the passage, but practice your critical reading, practice building your vocabulary from these passages. They're really good for just even basic English study. All right, let's go back now and answer some questions. Okay, so we read the whole passage. Now, ideally, in the real exam, so in the real official IELTS exam, you are able to read the whole passage in about no more than 10 minutes, maximum 12 minutes. You can keep a log of what you're reading so that when you answer this kind of question, the which paragraph contains the information, then you at least know roughly where it is, okay? Students, for this question, which paragraph contains the following information? If you're just trying to skim and scan the passage for answers, it will not be effective for the simple reason that you have to reread the passage again and again and again and again, and that's not good. So you need to read the passage once clearly, and then you know roughly where you're looking. So factors that lower tortoises' life expectancy. Where did we read about that? First half, middle, or closer to the end? Factors that lower the tortoise's life expectancy. Closer to the end, Needy in fact says maybe even F. Okay? Yeah, I agree. We just talked about the dangers, right? So, though tortoises have developed an extraordinary ability to live a long life, today this ability is threatened by a number of factors. So the ability to live long is threatened by a number of factors. So there it is in paragraph F. You don't have to skim read the whole passage. Imagine if you tried, imagine students how disappointing it would be to sit in the IELTS exam and this is your first reading passage question and you just did a skim read of the whole passage to find answer number 1. I would really be frustrated if that happened because you just took at least 3-4 minutes to answer one question. Okay, so if your main strategy is skim reading or scanning, you would be really in a lot of trouble right now because you just answered one question in 4 or 5 minutes because you had to skim read the whole passage to get it. Okay, that's really not effective. All right. Okay. Number 2, tortoises being used as a food source. Now, again, we visualized, we talked about the sailors, right? Where was that? Beginning, middle, or end? So introduction, body paragraphs, or the end, the conclusion? Amrit says somewhere around the middle. Lena agrees. Buzzy Fash says maybe even like paragraph C or D. Well, let's do that then. Let's look at paragraph C or D, the middle, right? So let's start with C. Reproduction is not a cause of tortoises' longevity. Their longevity is their incredibly slow metabolism. Okay. So here I have incredibly slow metabolism, and if I'm an effective critical reader and I control my thinking with what, why, how, then I even remember that the author proves the slow metabolism of the tortoise with the example of the sailors. So it should be near the end of this paragraph. When explorers were traveling to the Galapagos Islands, it was common for sailors to take tortoise on board the ship. Long-lasting supply of fresh meat. So C is the right answer. So how do I get that quickly, right? So you're thinking, well, how can you find that answer fast in the IELTS? I only have 20 minutes for this passage. Okay, so I know it's in the middle, right? So paragraph C or D, roughly. And tortoises being used as a food source is an example. It answers a how question. Okay, so it's near the end of the paragraph. So even if I implore some skimming and scanning strategy, even if I'm like, okay, I'm going to skim and scan for some of these answers, I'm not going to skim read the whole passage because that's just crazy, okay? Skim reading the whole passage or parts of the whole passage is really, really intense and waste of energy and time. It's a bad use of your metabolic energy during the IELTS exam. Really, all I need to do here is just look at the end of paragraphs C and D to get that answer, right? So F, C, let's go to the next one. Separation from predators contributes to their long lifespan. Introduction, body, or conclusion? Middle, beginning, end, where? Farhan says N. I would say middle-ish. Okay, it's still middle to end. All right, so middle to end. Is this answering a what, why, or a how question? Will I find the answer in the beginning, middle, or the end of a paragraph? Pachu says that's, I'm pretty sure that's a topic. Amrit agrees, so a topic and a what is the same. So Amrit, Pachu, yeah, topic answering the what question, right? So it should be somewhere at the beginning. So I'm going to check paragraphs D and E at the beginning. Okay? And hopefully I will be able to find the answer to the question. Metabolism alone, however, does not explain the great age to which the tortoise can live. Critical to the tortoise's longevity is their hard shell. Okay, so that's the defense mechanism. E, a final cause of the tortoise's longevity is their island habitat. Boom, there it is. Notice how quickly I was able to identify the location of that answer. It only took me moments. Yeah, so just imagine if you can do that efficiently on the official exam, you're golden, all right? Just like Farhan agrees with me. It's a boom type of situation. So here we go. F, C, E. Okay. Some animals have different methods of ensuring the species lives on. Okay, so some animals have different methods of ensuring the species lives on. This is about reproduction, right? Beginning, middle, or end. So some creatures have lots of eggs, some have a few babies like humans. We care diligently. Beginning, middle, or end. Pachu says it's intro to middle, so it's closer to the beginning. So it's paragraph A or B most likely. Is it a topic? Is it an explanation? Or is it an example? So is it a what, a why, or a how? A topic, an explanation, or an example? Amrit says it's a topic. It answers a what question. Absolutely, I agree, Amrit. Yeah, it's a topic. It's near the beginning. Let's go back to A and B. Tortoises are some of the longest lived creatures in nature. Okay, that looks like just something about the tortoise. B, nature is incredibly diverse, but the common factor among creatures is the need to reproduce. Some creatures, such as humans, have small numbers of young, which are cared for diligently. Others, such as salmon, have no interaction, but instead they rely. Okay, that looks great. So B it is. Fantastic. Good job, students. So B is the right answer there. Okay. All right, last one. Tortoises have difficulty adapting to new environmental pressures. Tortoises have difficulty adapting to new environmental pressures. Beginning, middle, or end? Farhan says that looks like a conclusion. Yeah, what part of the conclusion is that? And you're saying, okay, that's the conclusion. So I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that's F. What part? So according to the author, if you've learned IELTS Task 2 writing with me, then you should be able to identify which element of the conclusion this is. Remember, the conclusion always includes some form of the argument, some form of the points restated in the passage or in the article, and what else does it include? That's right, Yosef and Farhan. Good for you. The take-home message. Good for paying attention to those classes. Yeah, this is the author's take-home message. Absolutely. And you can see that. Okay, so here's a food for thought. Here's something interesting to keep in mind, students. When you're a good writer in English, when you're a good writer in any language, when you understand correct essay and essay structure, then this type of question, which paragraph contains the information, becomes much easier. Why? Because you know that as an author, you place certain kinds of information in certain parts of the essay. Okay, so food for thought, Pachu, means it's something to think about, all right? If you can do a good job on this type of question, then you should be able to do a good job in your task 2 writing as well, because this is really emphasizing the correct structure of essay writing, all right? Idana, a take-home message is a valuable piece of information in the conclusion which we give to our reader. It's the reason for writing the passage. It's the reason for writing the essay. Most literary works have a take-home message. Books have a take-home message, usually emphasized at the end of the book. Okay? Songs have a take-home message. It's what gives value to our information. All right, students. So now we continue on with questions 6 to 9. These questions look like this. And these questions and the true, false, not given questions, I'm going to leave for you to do for homework. And on our channel community board, I will post the answer key. So you can look at this video again later, read the passage again if you want to. Here are the fill in the blanks questions. And then I will show you the true, false, not given in a moment. Look at the video. It will be up on the channel. Answer these questions on your own. And I will post the answer key for you in the next day so that you can see how you did. Okay, here are the true, false, not given questions. Students, remember what we learned today. Reading passages in the IELTS exam are great for improving your English, for your vocabulary, for your critical thinking, your comprehension in reading. Make sure to apply critical reading, analytical reading techniques to each paragraph when you're preparing at home. Don't just use these exams to answer the questions that are asked. Use them to develop your thinking and your communication. When you see new words, write out their definitions and then create an interesting, complex sentence that includes you. Use these study techniques, and I promise you will not only improve faster, but you'll improve enjoying learning. All right. Here we go, students. If you want to join our premium IELTS package, visit us at aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com. For general IELTS, those websites, they look like this. This is our academic website with the blue background. Click that red button to join it. And this is our general IELTS program here. You can use it on your phone, tablet, computer. It's fully responsive. Click that red button there. Thank you so much for watching today's lesson. Tomorrow I will be back with speaking part 3, strategy and practice for the IELTS speaking section. Dieter Bochelen, love your last comment there. Says, thank you so much, sir, for a most diligent work. Good use of the word diligent. Dieter, very clever. Always use new vocabulary as soon as you have the chance. Have an awesome day, everyone. If it's late in your country, then sweet dreams to all of you who are getting ready for bed. And I will hopefully see you tomorrow full of energy and ready to learn some more. Bye for now.